All right, so I've got the substructure in for the grab handle on the driver's side and also over here on the passenger side. That's all done and in place. Now I'm working on the sun visors. I've got this little piece of substructure that I scavenged out of the Challenger. It's a little plate that corrects the angle of the how this is mounted relative to the curvature of the roof. So a little bit of whittling here, there, clearing out some of this structure over here to push this in and get it set in the exact position I want. But anyway, this little nylon piece here is the backer plate, and this piece over here, of course, is your finish mount. And so the object here is to lead off from this front edge of this L channel that defines the window opening over here. And it's about 3/8 of an inch down from this substructure. And then the sheet metal fits in underneath there like that. And then of course it'll weld to this edge over here. Now on the other side over here, you may recall in the last video, the substructure for this center console, this map light assembly here, had a couple of little tabs, some ears on it that I cut off, and would be these pieces here. They've got a little angle to them. They also correct the angle of attack of this little piece that captures this the end of the sun visor there. So again, I had to make sure that it was spaced in a way that the sheet metal will slide in here, spaced off of here, and also to the side that the sheet metal will slide into this groove that's in the side of the console. So with that done, I'm going to go on to the other side and try to finish the other side up. All right, so that's what the sun visors look like up in place. And now that I've got all the substructures in place, I can start to develop my left and right ceiling panels. So at any rate, that's what I'll be doing next, starting with the back. Yeah, I got ahead of myself. I forgot all about this harness. Went to start putting stuff back in the box, and there was that harness staring me in the face. I got to mount this up before I could start those ceiling panels. Anyway, that's what I'll be up to next. All right, so that wasn't too bad. So this is the main harness coming up on the right side of the car. What I've done here is I've gone ahead and I just put some weld tabs here so I can just bend these tabs back and then push them in, and that holds the wire in this nice little cavity here in the A-post over here. I'll be able to attach my A-post filler piece to this lower portion right here. So I'm not running screws in and danger and drilling holes where the wires are. And so we got that. Comes up to the plug into the sun visors for the mirrors on the sun visors. And then comes back over to here. There's some kind of little tiny little speaker. Goes in the ceiling right about there. Comes over to here. This is another wire. Just got these velcroed up to keep them out of the way. These go to these little courtesy lights in the ceiling. It crosses over the console, over the top of the console. And you see two wiring harnesses in here right now. The first one is the one I was just working on. And that also comes to this little speaker here. And then back over to here, this courtesy light. Then over here, this mirror in the sun visor is activated by that. And then this comes all the way down this A-post, held in by these tabs also. And then this plugs in on this side of the dashboard. So also, you can see the wires come over the top and then down through here to plug into the mirror. So that's for the mirror. And that pretty much gets everything. A lot of jazz going on in the ceiling on this one. Okay, so as with all the headliners I've done so far, I try to start with this corner because it's the most complex, has the most transitions. Of course, I start with just this pattern paper. Try to lay it in there as relaxed as possible, getting the rolls so that they're not forced and everything just rolls into the window, you know, without any kind of a kink or anything like that. Also, I've got to make sure that I leave this above the actual steel structure at least, probably about 1/2 of an inch when it's done. And that way, when I go to remove, this is in about 1/2 of an inch into this. You can see that black line is 1/2 of an inch of material. So it'll be able to slide this material down the hill and out of this groove, or up into the groove for that matter, without hitting the top of the substructure of the package tray. There'll be a cover on the package tray, obviously, that'll be built up that'll take in the slack of these corners. So I got to be mindful of that. Something I haven't had to do since I did my car, because my car had grab handles in the rear and it also had courtesy lights in the rear, is to work around that, the obstruction, which is basically this little clothing hanger. So I'm going to do it in 2 halves. It's a good place to put the joint. The joint can be anywhere in here anyway. So split this in half so that I can work it around this, and that'll work out fine there. I have to also make sure I find my hole for where my bolt-up spot is for my upper rear belt attachment point, and don't forget that. So one of the other things I forgot to mention was I had to put this spacer here on the last car that I did. I created a faux roll cage bar here out of 090 to connect the body. I didn't have a B-pillar in that car because it was reflective of the 68 hardtop. But anyway, I wanted to strengthen it without putting a B-post in, so I bolted this to a bolt up over here via a piece of 090 roll bar tubing, and I intend to do the same thing here to strengthen this up. It's set it off the B-post about a 1/2 an inch or so inside, so it kind of looks like a roll bar here, but it actually is functional to strengthen this connection between this lower inner rear door and the roof section of the car. This is, like I said, this is got some strength already to it because of this, but it's not as robust as that 090 roll bar. But I wanted to make sure that I put a spacer in. The last car I didn't have the spacer, and I had to work that spacer in afterwards because obviously the headliner is set off, and you don't want to start tightening the bolt and then push the headliner in. Anyway, long rambling speech for nothing, but this is where I'm starting. All right, so that's the first piece developed and installed. It's welded up to the perimeter piece. I also decided to put this extra little profile in here to help maintain the distance across the top, because then it'll make it a little bit easier to put the next piece in up against it. And it's just edge welded to the piece that's fit around the glass at the bottom, and as you can see, it's about 3/4 of an inch up. And I'll let the fabric on this actually go long so that it'll still be able to have a clearance, but the fabric will be flexible enough that it'll make up the difference if there's any gapping in this corner over here. And this is also the exact bolt that has a shoulder on it, so I had to put this in to make sure there was enough room once this was tightened down that everything was kind of clear. It took a little bit of time to shrink this corner over. As you can see, there's a curvature here, and then do a little English wheel work just in this one area right here, as you can see. Everything else is pretty much just a flat roll. Flat roll back that way, a little bit of a roll in this direction, roll up this way, and of course that's just a continuation of the same roll that goes down there. And so not too bad. On to the next piece. Okay, starting out with a paper pattern, I developed out this perimeter piece up to the grab handles for the driver's side, and so I've got that welded in now. You can see I've got this clothing hook fit up over here. I've got this hole clearanced over here for bolting up that bar that I talked about in the last segment. and you can see just the studs to the grab handle are sticking through here, so they can be attached. Anyway, I'm continuing with the perimeter. I've got to do this front portion first before I'm able to build a large piece to fill in the middle field. And that's what I'll be doing next. Okay, so this completes this surround, doing the front piece here, connected to the side, all the way around. Gives me my outer perimeter, and of course, the inner perimeter is the slot over here in the side of the console. At any rate, this was a little trickier to do than most pieces because the little substructure that holds the sun visor end I mounted it a little flattish. So what happens is there was a little bit of a bulge here that had to be accommodated. So I had to take the power hammer and basically knock a bulge into this right in this area right here in order for this to transition past that flat spot here and still be able to arc up in this area. So the other thing that had to be done is it had to be rolled up into this channel that basically is where that quarter round will go and round up the transition right to the windshield right here. So that's what that all looks like. It's a little tough to see. This thing doesn't want to focus 100%. This is the clearance for the other keeper for the other end of the sun visor. So I'll get back here and take a look at this a little bit better. So now I have to do the fight against gravity, get this upper piece in. Excuse me, not upper piece, but this large field panel, which is about 16 by 48. Anyways, that's what I'm on to next. Okay, so that completes the metal work for that side. I got the field filled in. I've got the holes drilled for both the small speaker location and also that's the courtesy light. So at any rate, this other side is pretty much just going to be a repeat of what I did over here. So I'm not going to bother to film that and drag you all through that again. No point. Okay, so I didn't think I was going to be able to get it done this week, but I did. I didn't rush it either. Just had a little bit more time than I thought I was going to have to do it. So that's about it for the modifications I'm going to do to the car before I try to drop it down on the other car. So anyway, next week will be another short week. I won't be getting back into town until Tuesday, but it'll be mostly grunt work. I've got to start taking the Challenger sheet metal and glass and everything off of that car and doing a lot of the prep work that is required to get it to drop down. And so that's the next adventure. I probably won't document the whole thing the way I did on the last build. So anybody interested in seeing how that's all done, I have several videos on Don's Charger, the body swap on that car, the 68 Charger, and pretty much be doing the same thing. So it's just going to be a repeat of that activity. At any rate, I will show you that when we get close. So next week's content will probably be a little bit abbreviated. Doesn't mean that there won't be a lot getting done. So I will see you on the next one, and thanks for watching.